lung resection here. And you can see the background lung looks pretty good, but then we have these large areas of abnormalities. And then they're kind of really clustering together. And so these are actually necrotizing granulomas in contrast to our case of sarcoidosis where we had non-necrotizing granulomas. You can see there's prominent necrosis here. You can see it all the way throughout. And these necrotizing granulomas are quite large and clustered together. And then we do see prominent multinucleated giant cells associated with them. And so you can see a spectrum of multinucleated giant cells. However, some of them do have this characteristic appearance that are known as Langhans type giant cells, where these nuclei are often at the periphery of the cell, and they have this horseshoe type of appearance here. And so this case with these large necrotizing granulomas should be very suspicious for an infectious etiology. So it's critically important that you perform histochemical stains to exclude a fungal and acid-fast organisms. And so in this case, it was actually positive for acid-fast bacilli. And the acid-fast bacilli were these tiny curved structures, and there was only a few organisms throughout the slide. So that's most in keeping with the tuberculosis. And an important point here is that it's important to stain at least one block or multiple blocks ideally, because these can be really focal. And you really have to hunt for these organisms at least 40x, spend some time to look through them, because in this large section, you may only find a few organisms, and that is clinically relevant. Um, the differential for this is fungal etiologies as well as sarcoid enters in the differential, but that's more classically a non-necrotizing granulomatous inflammation. You can get necrotizing sarcoid, but you would not expect to have these large areas of necrosis. Rheumatoid nodules as well as granulomatosis with polyangiitis, but we're not seeing any background vasculitis. And the giant cells have a bit of a different appearance, GPA, where they're much more hyperchromatic. And we're not really seeing large geographic changes and really blue necrosis. So taken together, this is most common, most consistent with an infectious etiology. In this case, it was tuberculosis.